Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Bidwill. I'm the president of the Arizona Cardinals Football Club. I want to welcome all of our fans, the Red Sea, that are watching on azcardinals.com, as well as the network audience from NFL Network. We're thrilled today, 3 weeks later, to be at an introductory press conference for Coach Steve Wilks. And so I want to make a couple of introductions. I want to welcome our staff and alumni who are here in our auditorium here in Tempe, Arizona, as well as I want to introduce Coach Wilks' family who's here, his wife Marcy, daughters Marissa, Milani, and son Stephen James. So welcome to Arizona. We couldn't be more excited to have you here. We're thrilled today because after 3 weeks, the last time I was in front of this audience 3 weeks ago, we told you that we were going to have a very deliberate, lengthy, and thorough search. And what we've been in is traveled thousands and thousands of miles to cities as cold as minus 90 degrees. We've had hundreds of hours worth of interviews, conversations, text messages, emails, input from a variety of candidates. I want to thank all the candidates that participated in our search. We knew that 3 weeks ago that one person would stand out among all the great candidates that we were going to be speaking to. We just didn't know which one. We were focused on somebody who could be a great leader for the Cardinals, somebody who had had a track record of success at multiple different organizations and would continue this great culture of accountability that's been around this organization for a number of years, thanks to Coach Bruce Arians. So as we went through this process over the last 3 weeks, all these thousands of miles, hundreds of hours of interviews, multiple conversations with owners, players, alum, staff, other coaches, Steve Keim and I, our general manager, had hundreds and hundreds of hours of input. And we couldn't be more excited, more thrilled to be introducing Steve Wilks as our new head coach. What we found, and Steve Keim did an outstanding job of really sifting through a lot of the input because we wanted to make sure we did a thorough job. We found a great leader, and not just a leader with a high football IQ, but also a high football EQ. He just doesn't coach football players, he coaches people. And when I say EQ, I'm talking about emotional quotient. Somebody who's really got that sense of where the players are. And we talked about that and learned a lot about that's a unique skill that Steve Wilks has. He knows where the players are 15 minutes after they walk into the training facility and make sure that they, where they are as people, because they're not going to be ready to learn and be well coached until if they've got any issues outside of the organization. And he adapts his teaching to each one of his players. Across the board, his players at all the teams he's coached at in the NFL, not only did we seek their input, but many of them, unsolicited, reached out to us to tell us what a great coach he is. He's a terrific communicator, which is a key part of being a terrific leader. He's got the track record of developing players, veterans players, as well as young rookie players, and we learned a lot about all that has happened throughout his career here in the NFL and in college. So it was also very important that we have that accountability here, and that's something that he really focused on. And I think you'll hear him speak about he wants to build a culture here of trust, commitment, and accountability. So today I'm thrilled with Steve Keim, our great general manager, who will be here to answer questions as well, to introduce our head coach, Steve Wilks. Please join me.
Good afternoon. I'm extremely proud and humbled to stand here before you today. I'm proud to accept this job as being the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. I'm extremely humbled because I realize there's only 32 in the whole world. And I'm very blessed and thankful for that. Michael talked about it. He talked about my family. I have to recognize what I call Team Wilks. My lovely wife, Marcy, my daughter, Marissa, Milani, and the handsome young man right there, Stephen James. There's so many other people that have helped me get to this point in my career, and I must recognize those individuals as well. My first mentor, Ruffin McNeil, he was my college coach. He really got me into coaching. He showed me the ropes early on in my career, someone that I'm truly grateful and thankful for. Darryl McNeil gave me my first job at Johnson C. Smith University. Tyrone Willingham, that I had the very fortunate opportunity to work with at the University of Notre Dame as well as the University of Washington. And with him, I understood what the word coach really meant. It's not just about the X's and O's, it's about the character. And it's about developing these young men, not only on the field, but off the field as well. Lovie Smith at Chicago Bears, he gave me an opportunity that many did not do. And there I learned a base foundation. It's about fundamentals and technique. And I never swayed away from that. Had an opportunity to go to the Chargers, and I got with Norb Turner, a great offensive mind in the National Football League. And there I learned what this game is really about. It's about matchups and trying to find and exploit those matchups each and every week. And then I got with a man, Ron Rivera, a good friend, a good mentor, someone that gave me the platform, all right, to really sharpen my skills as an assistant head coach. Someone that believed in me when he stepped away, that he knew we wouldn't miss a beat by putting me in charge. And I thank him for that. I'm very proud of the things that I've accomplished over my career, particularly this past year at Carolina as a defensive coordinator. But I can't stand here and take all the credit for that. I had an outstanding staff. When you look up front, you look at Eric Washington, Sam Mills, defensive line, Al Holcomb, the linebacker coach, Curtis Fuller, Richard Rogers, and Jeff Imamura coaching the DBs. See, you're only as good as the people that you surround yourself with. I got to give a special thanks to Brandon Bean, Dave Gettleman, Marty Herney, Stephen Drummond, and Ryan Anderson. Those guys really supported me throughout my time there. And I got to give a special thanks to Mr. Jerry Richardson, someone that was truly a good friend and a tremendous supporter of mine for 6 years. When you look at coming into a new situation, you always talk about trying to establish a culture. We want to establish a culture of winning. And I want that culture to transcend not only with the players and the coaches, but with everybody in this organization. You know, it's about a commitment to excellence. And everything that we do is going to be predicated towards that. Excellence when we go out on the field, the way we tackle, the way we block, the way we catch, the way we cook the food, all right? The way we operate in the training room, the way we answer the phone, and the way we cut the grass. Again, it's many parts but one body of work, and we all working towards one common goal, and that's to bring a world championship here to the Arizona Cardinals. When you look at a foundation, and Michael talked about that, I believe in 3 pillars: trust, commitment, and accountability. Before you start talking about any scheme, offense, defense, special teams, you have to have that trust. Trust among the coaches, trust among the players, and most importantly, trust throughout this organization that we're all about one common goal, as I just talked about. That commitment, every day that we walk into this building, it's about getting better today than we were yesterday. And we all committed in one common goal. And once again, that's bringing a world championship here to Arizona. And that accountability, I told Steve, I told Michael this right here, is that when I sign my name on that dotted line, okay, all right, I'm committed right now to doing everything I can to put this organization in the best situation to win the championship. And there's no entitlement, not with me, not with any other players. We got to earn our right each and every day. And as I embark on this new team, I got to thank Steve Kine, I got to thank Michael Bidwill, and the entire Bidwill family for this opportunity. It means a lot to me, and we expressed that before, and I'm telling you right now, you guys made the right decision. I really believe that. When you start talking about how I want this football team to look, I'm not going to get into schemes, offense, defense, and special teams. All right? There's a certain DNA that I want this team to have. All right? And the number one DNA is physicality and effort. When our fans, when the other teams watch us play, we're going to play with more physicality and more effort than any other team out there. The second element of our DNA is being smart. There's two things that I would not tolerate. That's pre-snap and post-snap penalties. Pre-snap to me is a sign of being undisciplined. Post-snap is a sign of being selfish. And everything that I'm talking about, everything that we're doing is about team. Again, it's not about me. It's not about them as individuals. It's about us. And that's what we're going to focus on. Being smart is also understanding the situation. You're talking about understanding the game. Knowing in a 2-minute situation how many timeouts we have, how much time is on the clock, what do we need, a touchdown or field goal. It's being smart and not just being a part of the game, but playing the game. That last element right there is finish. Everything that we do, we're going to finish. And it's not just about on the football field. When we walk into this building, we're going to finish in the classroom. We're going to be students of the game. In our walkthrough, we're going to be laser focused in the things that we're doing. In practice, finishing every rep. And most importantly, creating that muscle memory so therefore once we get in the game, we'll be able to finish there as well. I'm truly excited about this opportunity. I look forward to the challenges that are ahead. But most importantly right here, we're going to put a quality team on the field that everybody's going to be proud of. I want to thank the media that are here today. I'm looking forward to gaining a great relationship with you guys. I respect what you do. I value what you do. And I want to make sure that we're going to be here to support one another. And with that, I want to open up for questions.
If you have questions. We'll have microphones on either side of the room, so if you would raise your hand and as you ask your question, if you wouldn't mind identifying yourself.
Coach, Fox 10 Sports. Can you describe how you believe you won this interview and how that relationship worked in this process to becoming the new head coach of the Arizona Cardinals?
I really can't go into detail because I wasn't in there with the other individuals. I can only express myself. I think you're getting an individual, as you can see, that's real, truly passionate about what he's doing, persistent, and has a positive attitude to succeed in every avenue of his life. So I think those things were shown, not only in the first interview, but also in the second interview, that made Michael want to pull the trigger and make the decision.
Coach Kent Summers with AZ Central Sports. What do you know or think about this team's roster as it stands, and specifically addressing some of the issues and some of the people lost on offense?
Good question there, Ken. As I told Michael and I told Steve, this is not a rebuild. This is a retool. I think we have the pieces in place. When you look at the talent level on both sides of the ball, there's a question mark right now. We all know it's the elephant in the room, all right? We don't have a quarterback. Steve and I have addressed that issue. We sat down with Michael as well already. We're going to have a very active and aggressive plan through free agency, and we'll see exactly what's going to happen within the draft. But we're going to put a quality team on the field that's going to give us the opportunity to win each and every week.
Hey, Coach, welcome to town. Martin McClune, CBS 5 and 3TV Sports here in town. Question for you and Steve Keim, if we could. We heard reports of you walking up to Steve Keim on the beach, introducing yourself, and that's kind of how you first made an impression. Can you describe that situation? How did you guys first meet, and how did it kind of all come to fruition?
Well, I've known Steve really before that situation at Myrtle Beach, but my family and I, we vacation there every year, and I saw Steve there. And just went up and introduced myself again, and we just started having a quick conversation. And it was really brief and short, but that's what it was.
Steve?
He didn't buy me a beer, so I didn't remember it like he did.
I owe you one.
That's Bob Baum from Associated Press. In the whole quarterback situation, are you going to go looking at something that fits a specific style once you get your offense personnel in order? Or I guess what comes first, the chicken or the egg here, the offense to suit the guy or the guy to suit the offense?
Well, right now we're active for us trying to put together a quality staff. Let me address that first. The one thing that I believe in is men that are teachers. You got to be great teachers. You got to be great motivators. You got to be in position to take these guys to the next level. So that's what we're doing first. And as we move towards free agency, we're going to get a guy that fits the Arizona Cardinals. And we're going to make sure we bring the right one in. And he's going to fit our offense, whatever we come up with. But most importantly, he's going to have that character that we want.
Steve, Jody Jackson, Fox Sports Arizona. You mentioned the elephant in the room with the quarterback. I'm curious, just on the defensive side, your long history in defense, going back to as a player, what do you see with this team defensively? It's been one of the top defenses in the league. Do you see tweaks with system and personnel, or would you like to see something different with this defense?
Well, I think, number one, you got to address that, and you said it, we've been pretty good around here for a while. So I think one of the things you have to do, you evolve each and every year. Even back at Carolina, we tried to evolve each and every year. So you're going to evaluate the roster. You're going to look at certain things that we did well, things we need to improve on, and try to make corrections in that fashion. But I think the personnel is there. Again, someone asked me before about a 3-4, 4-3. I've coached in both systems. And most importantly, once again, we're not going to try to change too much. If it's not broke, don't worry about trying to fix it.
Coach Mike Jarecki, 98.7 FM, Arizona Sports. When it comes to your staff, what is the next order of business when it comes to coordinators, and what are you looking for when you hire your staff as a whole?
Well, some of the things that I just mentioned earlier, Mike, I think, number one, we got to get a staff that are excellent teachers. That's the most important thing to me. Guys that are outstanding communicators that can relate to this generation. I say this all the time, even with my kids, you know. I'm going to teach everybody the same, but I'm going to coach them differently. And I think the most important thing, you got to understand personalities. Everybody's different in that room. And I want to hire coaches that understand how to relate to different personalities. And most importantly, this is a league about developing players. We know what you're going to get in the first and second round, all right, but you make your wealth in this league by developing players. And that's what I'm trying to get. Coaches that understand that, great communicators that can take these guys to the next level.
Coach Doug Franz from 98.7 FM, Arizona Sports Station. 2 questions. What players on the active roster have you already spoken to? And 2, did Larry Fitzgerald tell you whether or not he's coming back?
I spoke with Larry. We had a very in-depth conversation. I enjoyed the conversation that he and I had. He did not express that he was or wasn't coming back, but we would definitely love to have him back. He is a major part of our success, past, present, and future. First ballot Hall of Famer, so we would definitely want him back. Patrick Peterson is someone that I spoke to as well. You know, I'm very excited, particularly with my background in coaching DBs. I think he's one of the premier corners in the National Football League. So I'm very excited about the talent that we have on defense. And I'm looking forward to meeting and talking to each and every one of those guys. It's just been a very quick process getting in here, trying to get coaches in, as well as trying to lay down the foundation of what we want, and most importantly, trying to get through today.
ESPN. Can you walk us through the last 4 days? You reportedly interviewed on Friday. Did you ever go home, or did you stay the whole time? What was that whole process like?
I would say Friday I'm here, okay, and then I'm here today. That's the most important thing. Anything else in between, whether I left, came back, it really doesn't matter at this point, right?
Steve, Tim Ring from CBS here in town. You had some great players in Carolina, Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly, but it was a defense that was also built on a lot of selflessness. One man not bigger than the team, and if you thought you were bigger than the team, maybe you wouldn't be around.
Mm-hmm.
Are you probably going to bring that same culture to Arizona here, the same mindset?
It's no question. It's not really based off the defense. It's really based off this team, and you heard me say it before. It's not about me, you know. It's not about Larry. You know, he's not about himself. It's about the team, and that's what we're going to make sure that we continue to do, is that we're going to always put the team first in every aspect.
Coach Paul Calvisi from Arizona Sports and Arizona Cardinals. Your leadership skills were mentioned repeatedly. What does it take to set that tone and get buy-in from the locker room?
Well, I think, number one, it has to be consistency. You know, I think once you lay down the foundation, it's not trying to waver from that. You know, I can recall when I stepped into that room last year, April the 17th, and I laid down the foundation of the vision of where we're going to go as a defense. All right? That vision did not change in training camp. That vision did not change in week 3. That vision did not change right before we got ready for the playoffs. So I think most importantly is the consistency, and players buy into what they realize that's authentic, what's real, what they can see and understand that you're genuine about what you're doing. And with me, again, they're going to understand that it's about earning the right, and about being consistent every day. So there's no entitlement. There's no entitlement with me. Okay, every day that I walk into this building, I'm trying to get better today than I were yesterday, and that's going to be the mindset.
Steve, Darren Urban from azcardinals.com. Do you have a timeline in terms of hiring your staff, specifically the coordinators, in mind?
We're definitely trying to make sure that we get things done before the Super Bowl. That's definitely the time frame. We've been very active this week. Already so far, getting coaches in and out, and there's going to be, some more coaches coming in this week. So we're excited about the process and trying to get it done as quickly as possible.
Coach Bob McManam in the Arizona Republic. When it comes to blitzing, you did a lot of that this past season. You've got edge rushers here. Assuming if it's not broke, you don't fix it. You stay with the 3-4. What are your thoughts on your edge rushers and blitzing with the talent you have right now?
Well, I think, once again, to me, a coach is always going to take a look at his personnel. I say this all the time. I don't have a scheme, I have a system. All right? And when you have a system, you're willing to adapt, all right, to your personnel that you have, not only that particular week, all right, but throughout the whole year. I think right now when you look at some of the guys up front, particularly Chandler for one, we got great pass rushers like you mentioned. So I don't foresee trying to do a lot. I mean, if you can get there with 4, we're not going to pressure a lot. But I think it's all based off week to week and what that offense is trying to give you from a scheme standpoint.
Kent Summers, AZ Central again. It's for Michael or Steve. When did you two realize this was your guy?
I think that to start off, as you know, we cast a wide net, not only 9 names, but multiple organizations. And it was a great process for us. It was not only educational, but we learned a lot about the individuals, about the organizations. I think at the end of the day, it came down to the second interview. And, in the second interview, you always have a chance to hammer out whether it's any concerns, the way the culture has been put in place here. So there was no doubt in my mind and in Michael's mind that Steve Wilks fit in here and could be the type of coach who could take us to the next level.
Let me just jump in and give you a little more detail between Friday and Monday. It was Saturday, and that's when we decided. And we made a great decision, and you can see why here.
Coach Craig Fouie, ABC 15 and 1580 The Fanatic. What was it in your DNA, I guess, that made you feel like you're ready to be a head football coach in the NFL? And then, Steve, I'll follow up with you, too, just to dovetail off Kent's question. What was it you felt like he was ready to be a head coach?
I think let me say this right here first. I bring a pedigree of winning. I think whenever you look at a person that's in position for a promotion, to advance in his career, I think you have to look back on his body of work and see the things that he's accomplished. I've been a part of 2 Super Bowls. Unfortunately, we didn't win them. 8 playoff games, 2 NFC championship games. Been in a situation where I've developed players in this league. Talked about that. That's one of the backbones of the NFL. You got to develop players. You take a guy like Josh Norman, who's a 5th-round draft pick, and you turn him into an all-pro player. So I've gotten a reputation throughout this league, number one, as a great teacher, all right, and a guy that can relate to players and get them to perform at a high level. So I think those are some of the qualities, but then also Coach Rivera, as I mentioned earlier, gave me the platform to be the assistant head coach, standing in front of the room, addressing the team, dealing with the media, working out the schedule, orchestrating practice. So I got a lot of on-the-job training, and I really thank him and appreciate that because I feel very comfortable in my new role. I feel like I've done this sparingly over the years, being in that position.
And our goal all along was not only just to find the best coach, it was to find the best leader. And it was evident to Michael and I that Steve Wilks was the best leader in that pool. And from day one, his infectious personality, his passion for the game, his ability to relate to players. On top of that, his ability to hold players accountable. And I've talked to numerous players, current and past, that attested to that. And I think that, in the coaching ranks, you can become a better coach through experience. But to have leadership, to me, there's an innate part of that. And when you get to know Steve Wilks, you can tell that he has that innate leadership skill that very few people have.
Coach Ron Wolfley with 98.7 FM and the Arizona Cardinals. How would you describe your coaching style?
As I stated before, I think it's very passionate, persistent, and very positive in my approach. Again, I think you have to be a teacher. You got to be able to communicate with these guys. It's not about yelling and screaming. All right? It's about trying to communicate to those guys to get your point across. And I always believe in this right here. I've heard coaches say in the past, well, I've told them again. All right, well, tell them again. It's about right now trying to reteach what you said before. So trying to find creative ways, all right, to get to the players. And that's what I've done in the past. That's what I continue to do.
Coach, welcome to town.
Thank you.
Greg Moore, Arizona Republic. I'm curious whether the coordinators in place now and the assistant coaches in place now are candidates for those jobs going forward.
Well, as I stated before, Greg, and that's a great question, we've done some great things here. When you look at both sides of the ball, and Steve and I have been talking, we're going through the process. I'm going through the process right now of interviewing all those guys. And I think we had quality coaches here, and if I feel like they fit within what we're doing, I'm more than welcome to bring those guys aboard,
Steve, a couple of quarterback questions. Was that situation a hindrance in this search at all? And where do we go from here? What's your thoughts? He used a lot of free agent terms.
Not at all. As I mentioned, leader was the word we were looking for. The better quarterback we find, the better coach he's going to be. So the old adage about Jimmys and Joes versus X's and O's is certainly exists. But I think it's one of those things that we did talk about the quarterback situation with every candidate. We looked at it as a positive. As Michael and I talked to the candidates, you really have a blank canvas, and you have the ability to be a part of setting us up for the future at that position, not only from a schematical standpoint, but from a personality standpoint. And we all know how important that position is. But we're going to be aggressive in the process, and there's going to be a number of different options, whether it's free agency, whether it's a trade option, or it's the draft, or all three. So we'll, as I always say, we'll leave no stone unturned.
Again, this is a pass-happy NFL. Can you give us an actual glimpse into how you've evolved every secondary you've been connected with to where you've elevated their performance? Give us an insight, not just teaching, but what is it about your approach that's been so successful?
I think it's about the fundamentals and technique of the game. That's where it starts. I think once you create a foundation of that and never waver from that, to me, and I say this all the time, is that once the off season comes, 32 teams are going to be talking about making it to the Super Bowl next year. Everybody's going to be talking about fundamentals and technique, running to the ball, all right, doing all the base things to put you in position to win. But what happens, okay, once the season starts, week 1, week 4, week 10, we've gotten away from, okay, what I ask the players to do and what I emphasize. I don't even operate off those two things, all right? It's what you demand. And what we demand from day 1, all right, is what we're going to demand week 10, week 16. And that's really been the difference with me. I don't allow guys to waver from the foundation. There's a certain way we're going to do it, all right? And we're not going to waver from that. And you can see the progress and those guys getting better each and every week. So that's really my foundation. It's being demanding on the players and being consistent.
Steve, does the strength of your defense allow you to maybe look at the quarterback situation a little bit differently, whereas you could maybe go with a young kid, knowing that the strength of this team is the defense, and you could start a young quarterback?
I think that's a good question, but I would say this. We're going to try to find the best player. Yes, we do have a great defense. Yes, our defense gives us an edge to do certain things. But I think once we go out there, as Steve just mentioned, we're going to be aggressive in every fashion. And if that's through free agency, through trade, through the draft, we're going to try to get the right guy in here at the quarterback position.
Steve, Jody Ayler, Fox Sports 910 in Phoenix. What do you believe, generally speaking, is required for offensive success in the NFL?
Great question there, Jody. Someone mentioned a pass-happy league, which I agree it is. I said, but I still believe this. You have to have a foundation of running the football. You have to run the football in the National Football League. As a defensive coordinator, there's nothing more demoralizing to a team than being able to run the ball. You're talking about taking the air out of an individual. So that's going to be our premise. And when you look at some of the premier running backs in the National Football League, we have one right here, all right, in Johnson. So, matter of fact, someone asked a question earlier. I forgot. DJ came up to my office, so we had a great conversation as well. He's excited. He's training right now. He's ready to get back on the field. But you got to run the football, and I think you got to have balance off that. It opens up the passing game for you. It opens up play action. So we're going to run the football.